Welcome to the latest episode of the Trail Times podcast with Big Bear Events. I am here the day before the Woodland Challenge. I thought I'd do it a little bit differently this time. So normally I'd be out marking the route at this point, running around with a backpack on, putting all the arrows out. However, this route in Rugby is half a mile from my house, and on a nice day like today, as you can see, big bright blue sky, kids use it to come home from school. There'll be people down here, loads of dog walkers, all of that, and so the chances of the areas getting messed around with are relatively high. So I'm going to come and put them out this evening because it doesn't really cause me any more bother to do that because it's so close, and hopefully means there's less chance of them being messed around with. The beauty of this course is that effectively it's straight, turn around and then go back to the start, which does mean that even if there were no arrows apart from the one that tells you to turn around, you should be absolutely fine. However, I don't want people to feel like they're being shortchanged, so I'll put out loads of arrows anyway. So yeah, I thought I'd just record the intro to the podcast the day before, and then you can see that it's lovely when it's bright blue sky, because I think tomorrow is going to be very wet, very windy, and so might not look quite visually as good as it does today. Today would have been absolutely perfect conditions for it. I think we'll get a bit of echo when I go under the railway bridge. Today would have been perfect conditions for it, but you can't win them all, can you? So I've had quite good weather for most of the events this year, I think. I might be forgetting, but I think we've had pretty decent weather for most of them. So I just thought I'd come down this morning though, after dropping the kids off from school, just to make sure there's nothing unexpected down on the route, because you never quite know. This is the slight oddity with this route. Probably one of the reasons we've not used it since 2019 is that effectively it's just a public footpath. So as much as I've got permission from the council, from the parks department and whatever, and we're allowed to be here, and supposedly the council know, I know that these people, the left hand doesn't speak to the right hand, and so, you know, I wouldn't be overly surprised to turn up tomorrow and find 15 JCBs blocking the path as they do work to the bridges that are along here, which is great for the nerves. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But when I do an event at Silsey Forest or Daventry Country Park, I deal with the ranger, I deal with the person that sort of knows exactly what's going on in their park, and I don't have to worry about any of that. So this is a little bit different, but lots of people ask about coming back here, and so why not? So we'll see what the feedback's like when people have run here, and that will decide whether we come back next year. Like I say, it's quite simple for me. It's always nice to do events where you can sort of get out of bed at a normal time rather than at the crack of dawn. So I'm keen to use it if I can and if people like it. Again, it's also the only venue pretty much where I have to get portaloos in, which I'm not a massive fan of using, but you know, you've got to do what you've got to do, and 80 people using a portaloo for one day isn't quite the same as, oh look, there's some magpies feeding in the background, if you can see that. 80 people using portaloos for one day isn't going to be like Glastonbury. So we'll see how it goes. Although I do begrudge paying 300 quid for people to go to the toilet. It's just the way it's got to go. It's just the way it's got to go. Yeah, so hopefully tomorrow, or the next bits you see, will be videos from tomorrow of people out on the Great Central Way having enjoyed themselves, if not got a little bit wet.
The Woodland Challenge has started successfully in Rugby. Weather is grim. I think the clip before this will have been me setting up yesterday in lovely weather. It's very windy. Hopefully you can hear me all right. Although I've got a sore throat, which doesn't help either. But it's very windy. The rain has stopped, which is good. But we've got about 70-ish people out. I think the weather has put a few off, which, yeah, it's not the nicest, so fair enough. But I'll try and get some clips of people as they come in and out along the Great Central Way in Rugby. The weather has taken a slight turn for the worse. It is rather wet. Luckily, I'm under a gazebo, but the runners, unfortunately, don't have that luxury. Hopefully they're a little bit protected under the Great Central Way or down on the Great Central Way, but I'm not completely convinced. It's meant to be dry later on, so hopefully all my kit dries out, but hopefully it doesn't put the runners off from doing what they want to do, be that stopping so they don't get too wet or just carrying on. But I don't know, hopefully they carry on and the weather doesn't dampen the spirits too much. But that was quite a downpour. It's calmed down a little bit now, but it's not the nicest of weather. We don't get it like this very often. It's a bit disappointing. Weather forecast hasn't improved much. My new waterproof box being tested to the limit. This is pretty grim. So those of you that didn't turn up, I think there's 7 or 8 people didn't turn up, might have made quite a good decision, because this isn't much fun if you're out there running. And I've discovered that I've got a leak in the gazebo. Anyway, it's all good fun, isn't it? I know all the updates have been weather related. Well done, Rebecca! But this is pretty crazy. I'd imagine it's very good for people's gardens, but it's not loads of fun to be running in. This is a whole nother level. Now that it's stopped raining.
I should have been running.
No, it's all right. Wrong way round. There we go, Rebecca. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Now that it's stopped raining, I've ventured out from underneath the gazebos just to see what a mess, effectively, it's made of the paths. So I'm pretty sure this was a river about 20 minutes ago. That was incredibly heavy rain. So I do make a fuss when it rains because all my stuff gets wet, but that was really quite heavy. So that's sort of knackered the ground down here. I just want to go and see how waterlogged it all is, really. I've got some runners coming past. I have Magda going past. Well done, Magda. Well done. And then the guy that's just behind me there is rucking. So in his backpack, I'm going to try and remember, it's got 15 kilos on his back that I don't know if he's running. I'd imagine he's sort of fast walking, going up and down. And then at the end, he'll then get a rucking badge. So rucking is something that's a little bit different, but it's quite a cool thing to do if you don't want to be running all the time. And then coming around the corner is our absolute superstar, Brian. So I'm going to go back up with Brian. Brian has run in pretty much every event we've put on,
yeah,
pretty much.
But only half of them.
Yeah.
He's actually running.
Yeah, well, exactly. So look, I always thought he was running, but he's doing a lot of walking here. But Brian's been with us from the absolute start, and have done loads now. What are you up to now, Brian, marathons?
This is my 180th today.
180, and
I think there's about 60 of those at Big Bear.
Yeah.
Getting close to 60 now.
Yeah, because I think you were probably on, I don't know, 20 or 30 when you first started running with us, something like that. Like, yeah. I think less than 50.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we are.
It's your fault.
We are responsible. Yeah. Sorry.
I can't walk after this.
He can. He's an absolute superstar. Right. I'm going to let you go,
okay,
so you can carry on running, Brian. There we go. Good man. Well done. It is a little bit tight on the course here, but yeah, Brian's an absolute superstar. Well done, Richard. And has run at loads of our events. At one point, I think for about 3 or 4 years he didn't miss one at all, but now has missed maybe 3, like very, very few. This course at Rugby is out and back, so the runners go along this Great Central Way, which is an old railway, really very nice to run along, but it is out and back, so it'll be interesting to hear if people find that boring, if people enjoy that, if they don't like that, because it's really simple for me. On Nick, really simple for me because I only live around the corner, so it does work out nicely for me to be able to put these events on if I can. But obviously I don't want to put events on that people find repetitive or boring, so I need to make sure that the course works for people's enjoyment, really, because you don't have to come and do this. So if it's not nice to run where you're running, then why would you bother? I'm sure if we did it around a car park, I could get a handful of people, but I don't really want that. I want to have as many people out enjoying the trail, enjoying being out in nature, hopefully in this sort of sunshine. See, it's always sunny at Big Bear events. Ignore what you've seen already, it's always sunny. So it just depends as to whether people enjoy it, as to whether we'll come back to Rugby again. It's a nice venue for me. It's quite a nice setup. The HQ bit is really quite easy to set up. The Rugby Club have been great about just letting me get onto the field to set up the HQ, so it works really nicely. Portaloos are the pain because they're really, really expensive and rubbish, but there's no real other option here, so I just have to sort of bite the bullet. But it just makes it actually quite expensive, despite the fact I'm not really paid to be here. I then have to pay 360 quid for Portaloos. So whether we'll come back again, I don't know, but I'll be interested to get people's genuine feedback as to whether they've enjoyed being on this course. I'd imagine some of that might be somewhat sullied by the horrific downpours that we had this morning, but it's meant to be like this for the rest of the day, so I am very hopeful that the majority of my kit will dry out before we actually have to put it away, because it is actually quite warm now. It will get very muggy and very sticky down here throughout the day, I would imagine, just because all that water is then going to be rising pretty quickly. But we'll see how we go, and hopefully I'll try and get some little chats with some more people as we go along as well. How have you gone today?
Really well. It's good fun.
How far did you go?
I did 16 miles today.
Awesome. Was that the plan?
No.
What was the plan?
I came here to do more than one lap.
Excellent. That's good.
And we got 16 miles, so yeah, really happy with that.
And it's turned out to be a Northbrook social event, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We've got Northbrook here. That's only a few of what, 6 or 7, 5 or 6?
6 or 6.
You three,
Yeah,
Caroline,
7.
Matthew.
Yeah, Claudia was booked on as well,
Yeah.
but she didn't make it. But
Yeah.
yeah, really good.
Yeah, it's good.
Tony Bow was here, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, Tony Bow, yes.
Yeah.
In his miles.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, excellent. A bit of a different way of introducing the podcast. So I thought I would start by going down there the day before, where I was marking the course and showing you how the course looked. So the course was amazing. It was lovely on the Monday, lovely and dry, nice and sunny, not too hot. And then, as you saw on the actual event day, lots and lots of rain. I know it's very British to talk about the weather all the time, but it was definitely noticeable, or notable, sorry. It was so wet, unbelievably wet, just the relentless. And there was a few of the downpours. I don't necessarily know if I got those ones, but if you're watching it on the video, you can see just how wet it all was. The grass was waterlogged at points. I'm told that some of the parts of the course ended up being like little rivers. It was very wet, but everybody in good spirits, nobody really moaning. I mean, I think it was sort of so bad, it just sort of became a bit funny, really. So it wasn't just irritating drizzle, it was sort of I want to say sort of like a blitz spirit type thing. It's a bit dramatic, but everybody was just so wet. It was unbelievable. Yeah, so I'll just go over a few of the bits that came up as well during the day. I was really conscious. The reason there's not been a podcast essentially in between the events that I've done is I was really conscious that some of the ones before ended up just being half an hour of me selling the next event, which I don't really want this to be. I want that just to be a small little portion of a much longer podcast where you're getting some content and something of value out of it. I saw when we were doing the video, Simon ran past and I referred to him as doing rucking. So I thought that
a lot of people won't know what rucking is. People on the day didn't know what rucking is. Ultimately, rucking is carrying weight on your back and moving, whether you're running or walking very fast, or carrying lots of weight or not carrying much weight. That is the gist of it. It's got lots of military heritage, I'd say. So it's quite common in in the military for you to be carrying weight. I think they call it yomping in the UK. In America, where rucking is really quite a big sport in its own right, I think they give it different names. But rucking is what the sport effectively is being called, and it's a really good way. So I was doing it quite a lot on the school run, just putting 15 kilos, I think, or 10 kilos on my back and walking to school with the kids and back. And suddenly a leisurely little stroll to school made me get quite a sweat on, because you really do notice the weight on your back. The key to it, so you can just get your standard backpack and chuck water or dumbbells or flour or whatever in the back. But when you're carrying that weight that little bit further away from your spine, it can be really, really difficult. Whereas with the rucking backpacks, you slide a weighted plate. So it is just a metal plate essentially, but it goes right against your back. So it's a lot easier to carry, and the backpacks have got really big straps on them as well. So you spread that weight out. It's not just like walking around with your North Face bag. So Simon did 20 miles carrying 15 kilos, and Duncan, who I think was also on the screen as well, he did a marathon carrying 10 kilos. So they both went away with the gold level rucking. Again, in America, where they have the big rucking events, so I have 100, 200 people turning up just to do the rucking. So it won't be part of a running event. It'll be its own separate thing. They give out different categories. You get gold, silver, bronze, or however you want to phrase it. But because it's a more conventional event where it'll be a 10-mile course, you get a different level based on the weight that you're carrying. Obviously, with mine, because you can do a different length, you can carry different weights, it's a bit of a fudge. So what I've come up with a massively overcomplicated system where you do the distance timed by the weight, and that then tells you whether you're gold, silver or bronze. Because if you're carrying 5 kilos on your back, which isn't particularly heavy, but you run 40 miles, that is probably just as impressive as carrying 40 kilos on your back but running 5 miles. So that's how it works. But it's really good to see people coming and doing some rucking. Rucking, you can do it every single one of the 6-hour challenges, and you can do it at Trailfest as well. I don't really offer it for the evening 10Ks, but if you wanted to come and do it, then you're more than welcome to. But it's just a nice way of getting out. It's good training if you're going to be doing some of the longer stuff, or you're going to be training to go up hills, or you want to remind yourself of how heavy you used to be before you lost weight. I know somebody did that as well. It really sort of brings it home as to that extra load you're putting on your legs if you're carrying the 10 kilos that you've lost over a sensible amount of time. But you put that on your back, you're like, blimey, this is heavy. You're like, hang on, I was carrying this all the time. So yeah, but it's a different way of doing things, and it just sort of freshens things up a little bit. Also, when I was out on the course as well, I bumped into Brian as he was going up and down. Brian, as I said during the clip, is an absolute legend. He was there at our first event at Wrighton Pools in 2018. He made all of the events in the first year, all of the events in the second year, and then he's been at pretty much every single 6-hour challenge that we've done. He now has his granddaughter, I think, on a Wednesday or on a specific day. So when I have events on those days, he can't do those. And I think he's been on holiday once as well. But I think we're looking at maybe missing 3 events. Like he says, he's close to 60 events with us, which is pretty good going when I've only done about 66-hour events as well. So Brian comes to loads. He's just the nicest man and typifies
what Big Bear's all about, in that he puts the effort in, but you know, he likes his Jaffa cakes, can't not have Jaffa cakes if Brian's around. So it's just sort of doing it, but doing it for fun and doing it because you want to, not because you have to. I do remember him saying about getting to 100 and then thinking he was going to stop, and now he's talking about getting to 200. I don't think he'll stop. I think he'll carry on. Whether he carries on doing marathons every time or maybe does halves, I don't know. But I can't ever see Brian stopping. I hope he doesn't, because it's really nice having him at all the events. I chatted to Tim as well. He's part of Northbrook Running Club. They are a running club based in Coventry. I assume in an area called Northbrook. I don't know that for a fact, but I assume that's the case. And there were 5 or 6 of them from Northbrook, which was excellent. I don't think they'd organised it as a club event as such. I think they sort of were quite surprised to see each other when they got there, which is just really nice. It's lovely to have an event that they can use that isn't a ultra competitive club event. You've got to finish in the top 10 to score this amount of points and all this sort of stuff. It's just come and do it for fun. And Caroline ran an ultra. I think Tim said in the clip he did 16 miles, I think, but they can run together. Tim just hung around at the end, chatted and waited for Caroline, no problem. Saw her on the course as she came in and out of HQ. Saw the others from Northbrook as well, and it's lovely. And it just means that people that are all running of different abilities, doing different distances with different goals, can actually see each other on the day, which is just nice. So it's lovely to be joined from people from a running club, especially one with such friendly members as Northbrook. We also had Hannah running with us, who finished 2nd female overall, and she did 29.7 miles, so close to 50k, which is obviously a great achievement on its own. But Hannah told us at the end that she'd never run over 11 miles. So rather than doing the standard half marathon, do training, marathon, do more training, ultra marathon, she's gone from 11 miles to 29.7 miles, which is incredible. She looked like she could have carried on going. Whether she could, I don't know, but she didn't sort of collapse in a heap at the end. Pretty tough going as well when you think about all that heavy rain. I know I keep mentioning the rain, but when you think about that heavy rain, you have that and you're running probably for 3 or 4 hours, maybe 5 hours longer than she's ever run before. So you add all those things together and there's lots of things that can go very wrong and make you just want to stop. And it's only really experience that helps you get through those. But clearly Hannah didn't need that experience because she absolutely smashed it. So well done to Hannah. Something a little bit different, which we have had before, but we had overseas runners with us today. On Tuesday. We had Angelo, who was visiting his son who lived locally. I can't remember exactly where he said his son lived, but he lived locally, and the son's mum and dad were over visiting from Brazil, and apparently Angelo loves running, and so he wanted to come and do an event, which was brilliant because his son was having to translate everything into Portuguese so he could understand, which I just found fun. And are there 6-hour lapped running events in Brazil? I don't know, maybe there are. I've got no idea. It might be that there are tons of them. It might be that it's what they do in Brazil. I'd just be amazed if it was, because I don't really think it happens really anywhere else. But maybe it does. Maybe I'm being naive. But it was great for him to be able to run with his dad, who was coming over to visit. And then in a similar vein, Andrew was visiting from Perth as well. So when we go overseas, we go big. He was running with his family member. I can't remember the exact link. I'm going to say brother-in-law, but I don't think that's quite right. I think it was something like that. But he was the brother-in-law of Nick, who runs in loads of our events. He did his 504th marathon with us, as in his 504th marathon was with us, which is obviously just phenomenal running, and I think puts Nick on the worldwide marathon list as to the most amount of marathons completed, I think.
and he's a top bloke, which makes it a lot easier. And it's lovely to have him there. Normally, I don't sort of go on about the people that win the event loads, because there are obviously lots of incredible performances throughout, and it's not a race, it's not about trying to beat everybody else. That's not really what I do. However, Harry did go all out the whole time, which was great to see, and he was a lovely bloke as well, which made it even better, because it's always nice when people can run fast and have a bit of a smile on their face. Any other course and he would have been punching for the course record, or at least it would have been coming down to time rather than distance. So Harry did 46.2 miles in 6 hours, I want to say 20-ish, I think 24 maybe. I don't have that right in front of me. But this course is where our company 6-hour record is held, and that was Andrew Siggers in 2019 when he did 52.8 miles, which is phenomenal running. So effectively 2 3-hour marathons back to back. I'd be pretty happy with 1 3-hour marathon, let alone doing 2 of them back to back, and it just being a training run, which is what Andrew did when he came and ran with us that day. So that was phenomenal running. We've not seen anybody run like that before. I think 46.2 miles would be the second furthest that anybody's gone at our events, I think. I've got a feeling it's Oliver Beasley at Daventry Country Park is the second furthest, which I think is the same distance, give or take. But it was great running. It was funny when the big downpour happened. Again, sorry to mention the weather again. He got incredibly wet and then came into HQ saying, can he take his top off because his nipples are really hurting. So if he didn't take his top off, I think there'd have been the traditional red marks running down the top, which just hurt so much. When those tops get heavy and wet, they just rub, and if you've got a sort of mesh like vest on, which I think he did have, it just turns into cheese graters. And I've had it happen many a time, but I always wear undershirts regardless of how hot or cold it is. I'll always have some sort of undershirt on to prevent that. In the summer it'll be like a vest rather than a long sleeve undershirt, but I always wear something just so I don't have that horrible rubbing, because well, yeah, it's grim. It's grim. If you've not had it happen, it's awful. So yeah, it was a great day. Really enjoyed it, and really enjoyed being back at Rugby. The reason that we've not been back there since 2019 is I like going to places where there's a cafe and a car park, and there's a bit more of a, not an event village because that's not really what we tend to do, but where there's a bit more going on around, just because it feels a bit more like an event rather than let's turn up to a field and go for a run. That's what I think as well. Anyway, and also it's an out and back route, so it's the only course that I use where it is a dead turn and then come back and just go out and back along the same strip. A lot of the routes that I use, there'll be sort of like a lollipop route, so you go out, go round, join the course again that you went out on, and then come back in, because that little bit of crossover is really good, because you can then see the other people that you're running with and you don't feel quite as lonely. Because obviously when I put events on and there's 100 people, that's not loads of people really on a 5k course. It can get quite spread out, and I don't want people feeling lonely. So if you're going backwards and forward, not backwards and forwards, but if you're sort of crisscrossing the course a little bit and you're going out and back along the same section, it sort of doubles the amount of people that are on course effectively, and so it makes it feel much more communal. However, I personally don't like turning round at any point during a run, so I will always do a circular route. I'm interrupting this podcast. There's going to be a little highlight of me running at a new venue. There's hopefully going to be a new trail fest next year, but it seems quite apt where I was saying that I think it's my fault that I don't like out and backs, that while trying to mark the course out, I've ended up in a pea field, which obviously we're not going to use for the course because it's a pea field. It's absolutely trashed my legs, I'm bleeding, but because I don't like turning round, I've tried to find a circular route, but it appears running through pea fields isn't the same as running through wheat fields or oat fields, which is what I'm used to. and instead peas are very heavy, very sharp, and very, very difficult to run through, because some of it is the same height as me, if not taller. Yeah, so just like trying to run through trees. Anyway, I'll let you get back to the podcast. If you know where I am and you've not happened to see it on Strava before I've managed to make it private, and you can guess where next year's Trail Fest is going to be, you can have a free entry. I'll limit that to 10 in case someone is magical and has worked it out, or I've given something away too much. But it is going to be beautiful because we're not going to run through a pea field. The fact that it is a direct out and back, I thought would put people off. When I was speaking to people on the day, pretty much everybody said that they really enjoyed the course and that it didn't affect, they weren't fussed about it being an out and back course. So we will return to Rugby probably next year. I don't think the same time of year, just because I'm having to change a few little bits around in the summer for next year, but we'll return to Rugby. It's worked, it's nice. It's just around the corner from my house. Again, I've mentioned that a few times. But it just makes it so much easier admin wise. And it's nice to be in Rugby. Obviously there's a lot of people that come to Rugby. It's really nice as well for me to be able to do an event near home, because then my wife can come and run at them. So she can drop the kids at school. This is what she did on Tuesday. Drop the kids at school, ran from school to the start line, which annoyingly is most of the course, but anyway, ran from the school to the start line and then was there ready. She ran one lap and then she was back here in the office working by 10:30 or something like that. So, you know, she can do it, other people can do it. If we come to the place that is close to your kids' school, then brilliant, come along, drop the kids off, go for a run. If you've only got time just to do a little bit, come and do a little bit and then, you know, get on with your day. If you can take the whole day, brilliant, drop the kids off, come and run with us for 6 hours, go and pick them up in the same kit and be a bit of a hero at the school gate, I'd suggest, because I'd imagine if that was me, I'd just sort of be stretching about just so that somebody asked what the problem was, so I could then tell them for 15 minutes about what I'd been up to. But that's probably just me. But it's really, I can't emphasize enough how much I want people who are time poor parents to be able to come and use these events. So please, if that is you and you're thinking, oh, but I might be late because I've got to do drop off and it's 20 minutes away or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just turn up late. It really doesn't matter. And I don't think it affects your day in any way either. So yes, your official time will be slightly off because your time starts when everybody else starts. But if you're fast, you'll catch people up relatively quickly. And if you're slow, they'll catch you up. And after half an hour, everybody's all over the place anyway. And so it's not as though you're turning up 20 minutes late to the Rugby half marathon and you're just chasing people the whole time. It's just not like that anyway. So yeah, I really like it when people message saying, oh, is it all right if I'm going to be late? And then they still turn up and they enjoy it and they've had a good day out, because I am fully aware of how difficult it is to get time as a parent with small children. The first half of this podcast, we're sitting in the office, I recorded at 5:30 this morning, come down to put it all together, realised that the second half of what I was doing, the sound was all off. So now I'm recording it at 9 o'clock at night because I've had to fit it around kids playing football, school runs, so on. So I get it, and I'd really like to help people as best I can. So, Rugby Challenge, great fun. We'll be back, not Rugby Challenge, Woodland Challenge in Rugby, great fun, we will be back. The next time we're back with Big Bear events is the Otter Challenge at Kingsview Water Park. That is on Thursday, the 26th of June at Kingsview Water Park. Beautiful flat route. New videos are on the YouTube channel if you want to see what that route looks like. And then we've got a double header to round off our summer. Friday the 11th of July, Coombe Abbey for the Swan Challenge during the day, and then the Summer 10K in the evening. The Summer 10K is selling fast. That will sell out, I think. We've got 40 entries left, just over a month to go. people tend to enter 10Ks closer to the time. If it doesn't sell out, it's going to be very, very close. So if you want to join us, make sure you sign up to that one soon. The Swan Challenge is getting quite close as well, actually. So I'd really suggest signing up for these things quite quickly if you do want to come and join us. And that is everything. So if you've made it this far, well done. And I will speak to you soon.